Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today what I have for you guys is 3 teams that I think can be the next TCU in the 2023 college football season. What that means is that they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to be a surprise. No one's going to pick them to win their conference, whether they're ranked, unranked to start the year. That doesn't really matter here. I'm just going with 3 underrated teams that if everything goes right, everything that's new with their team is a hit. It's an A+. Possibly make the playoff, and that's what I have here. 3 teams, like I said, that can pull off a TCU, make the playoff for the first time. And starting that list off, I have the Oregon State Beavers, led by head coach Jonathan Smith. The Beavers in 2022, they went 10-3. They went 6-3 in the Pac-12. And they went 10-3 with the 11th best passing offense in the Pac-12. 12 teams, they were 11th in passing, and they still won 10 games. That says a lot about this defense. It says a lot about Jonathan Smith as a head coach. And that's a big part of why I have them on this list. Oregon State. They might have the best coach in the Pac-12 for all we know. He doesn't have the talent that Lincoln Riley has, but he gets the job done. 10 wins. He beat Oregon State. He almost beat USC. So the 2022 season went really well. Looking ahead to 2023, they had a home run in the portal, in my opinion. They went out and got DJ Uiagalelei. Now, if you get a quarterback like that, everything changes. That changes your program because college football is all about the quarterback position. If you have a good quarterback, your team's going to do really good. And I think this is a home run hit for Oregon State and Jonathan Smith. Jonathan Smith, he played quarterback. Very good in college for Oregon State. Very good quarterback. DJU's coming in here looking to get developed, playing a quarterback-friendly system when he doesn't have to do everything. Remember, this team's really good at running the ball. They have a lot of good backs, really good offensive line. So DJU's just going to come in here playing a really good system, and I think he's going to do really good. And like I said, if everything goes right for Oregon State, the goal is to get to the Pac-12 championship. If they get there with one loss and win, they're going to be a one-loss conference champ, and that's the ideal situation to get into the playoff for a Pac-12 team. Now, a lot of things have to go right. But I will say they have UCLA, Washington, and Utah all at home in Corvallis. That's a huge plus. 3 of your biggest games are home. Yes, last game of the season, they have to travel to Eugene and play Oregon. But having these 3 games all at home is very huge because Oregon State in Corvallis plays like a lot different than when they do on the road, as we saw last year. They went to Utah. They lost by almost 30. But then when USC and Oregon came in there, the games were close, and they ended up winning one of those. So, projected offensive starters back. Looking at this roster, it's really hard to tell, especially with the portal, but I think 7 or 8 guys will be coming back. Now, will the offensive line be the same? I don't know. 4 starters haven't announced or are projected to come back. So that's a huge plus. Having 4 starting linemen back is always good. Like I said, they're 11th in passing. You got a quarterback. So the offense should be a lot better this year. In their defense, yes, they lost guys in the secondary. A couple NFL guys like Rajon Wright and Jaden Grant, Alex Austin. Just some really key players in that secondary that was really good. They also lost linebacker Jack Coletto and linebacker Kyrie Fisher-Morris. But Jonathan Smith, he's going to rebuild. And this is a development program. This isn't a program that's going to go and get a top 20 recruiting class. This is a program that's going to get their guys and develop them. And that's a huge part why they've been so good in the portal this year. People want to go there and get developed. You got Oluwase Omatosho. Now, I might have just botched that, and I apologize if I did. But this guy had a 6.5 sacks and 46 tackles at Wyoming last year off the edge. So that's a big get. Kelsey Howard, the defensive end. Wide receiver Montrell Hatton coming in here. And I already mentioned they have 4 starting linemen coming back. But they went out and got another lineman in the portal, Grant Stark, who's going to battle for a starting spot. So they could have 5 really good linemen in 2023. DJU coming in at quarterback. Want to have that protection. So the offensive line looking really good. And the last thing I want to say about Oregon State, why they can pull this off. We all saw what they did to Florida. They made Florida not want to be in that bowl game, in the Vegas Bowl. 30-3. Are you kidding me? Pac-12 SEC. I don't care how many guys Florida had out. That's the University of Florida. I guarantee the level of athlete favored Florida in that game. Now, Jonathan Smith, he does not care about that. He doesn't care if the other team doesn't want to be there. He's going to play his game. He's going to coach his guys. They're going to play hard, and they're going to punch you in the mouth. Jonathan Smith's just like Kyle Whittingham. Same conference, too. They play with the chip on their shoulder. When they see blood in the water, it's over. And I think that game was an indication of what we're going to see from the Beavers in 2023. And if everything goes right, like I said, get to the Pac-12 championship with one loss. You win that, you can go into the playoff, and I believe that should be the goal. That should be the ceiling of Oregon State. Because I guarantee TCU this past season, everyone was picking them to finish 5th, 6th, 7th in the Big 12. But in that locker room, they believed. They believed they could win the Big 12, and if you win the Big 12, you're going to have a shot at the playoff. And that happened for TCU. Never know with Oregon State. The next team I want to talk about, the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, many people will probably think this is a stretch, given they went 7-6 last year. The offense wasn't good. Graham Mertz, total disaster in his career at Wisconsin. They lost Jim Leonard as the D coordinator. With that being said, a lot of newness, a lot of positive things have happened since the end of the season. 7-6 in 2022. How many guys are returning from that team? Probably not a lot. You just never know. Transfer portal. They've had a lot of guys enter, but not a lot of those guys have committed elsewhere. Who knows if some come back? Who knows if more are going to enter? We saw that second portal window coming up. So it's really hard to say for Wisconsin how many guys are going to be coming back on both sides of the ball, so I'm just going to leave that there. Now we can talk about the guys they have coming in. 3 quarterbacks are coming in here. Luke Fickell understands. Wisconsin has not had good quarterback play. Probably ever since Russell Wilson. They have not had a very good quarterback. Luke Fickell understands that. To change Wisconsin, to change the offense, to battle in the Big Ten against the Ohio States, the Penn States, the Michigans, you're going to need a quarterback. He went out, got Tanner Mordecai, Nick Evers, and Braden Locke. This is a sign of a healthy program already, and Luke Fickell hasn't even coached the game yet. Quarterback competition. It brings the best out of every single player. Nick Evers, coming out of high school, was one of the highest-rated quarterbacks in his class. Tanner Mordecai has been one of the best quarterbacks in college football these past years. I can guarantee Nick Evers is going to see Tanner Mordecai, all the success he's had, and that's going to put a chip on his shoulder. He's going to think, I want to beat this guy out. I want to show Coach Fickell how good I am, that I can beat a multi-year starter, a guy that has very high production in his career. And Nick Evers would give Wisconsin an element that they haven't had since Russell Wilson. A dual-threat guy that can create on the move, outside of the scheme of the offense. And Tanner Mordecai is a little different than that. He's a guy who's going to distribute the ball to the playmakers, not really going to turn the ball over. Plays a little loose sometimes, but heck, Wisconsin, I guarantee their fan base would rather see a quarterback play loose than what they've been seeing the last couple years. So quarterback, huge positive coming into the 2023 season for Wisconsin. Running back. Not really much to say here. Braylon Allen, looks like he's coming back. Everything's pointing towards that. He's came out and said that. And boy, they got a stud in the backfield. Wisconsin played Ohio State this past year, and Braylon Allen was really the only thing that went good that game. 2023, I expect the same. He's going to be right in there for the Doak Walker Award. Behind a really good offensive line. And the last thing I want to hit on Wisconsin, Luke Fickell. They just went out and got Luke Fickell from Cincinnati. Now, if Luke Fickell's as good of a coach as me and many others think he is, Wisconsin's going to be a really good football team this year. They're going to be really good. Luke Fickell in the Big Ten. They have Ohio State on the schedule. Ohio State comes to Madison. And the reason I put Wisconsin on this list is because, heck, if they win that game, or if that's their only loss, they're going to go to the Big Ten championship with a rematch against Ohio State. Possibly, if Ohio State beats them, I imagine Ohio State or Michigan will be there. Penn State's going to be really good too. So either way, Wisconsin's going to have to play one of those 3 teams in the Big Ten championship. Heck, if they get there with one loss, anything can happen. And like I said, people are going to be like, oh, Wisconsin's going to go there and lose, just like every year. The West always goes there and loses to the East. Ohio State's too good. Michigan's too good. Even Penn State would probably beat those guys. Well, Luke Fickell is there now. Things are going to be changing. I guarantee Luke Fickell has gone back and watched the last couple years of Wisconsin football. He probably didn't like it. Just like the fan base, they probably didn't like it. Changes are coming. I'm a big believer in Luke Fickell. That's why I put the Badgers on this list. I expect 9 or 10 wins out of them this year, and they should win the Big Ten West. It's definitely going to come down to them, Illinois, and Iowa, in my opinion. We'll see what Purdue does. But yeah, I think the Badgers are due for a pretty good season in 2023, after the failure in 2022. That's why I put them on this list, because you just never know. If everything goes right, it's all about the opportunity to go to the playoff. They could get their Big Ten championship, one loss, with an opportunity to go to the playoff. And lastly, third team on the list, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. This is a team, they went 8-5 in 2022. I'd say that was a pretty good year. Big 12 was really competitive. They went 5-4 in the conference. You got to remember, the Big 12 was really good. Texas, TCU, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. They really all just beat up on each other. And TCU was the only one that came out on top. Kansas State just right below them in the regular season. Everyone else, they just beat up on each other. A lot of good football going on. Texas Tech, really good football in 2022, and a lot of guys coming back in 2023. I'm going to talk about the expected starters coming back. It looks like they'll have 9 offensive starters from the team last year coming in. Maybe 8. I guess it really, like I said, for the Badgers and Oregon State, really just depends on how the portal is used here. If they bring more guys in, more guys are going to have to leave, right? And I expect 6 on defense. I think that's a pretty solid number looking back at their roster. So the key loss for the Raiders, they lost the edge rusher Tyree Wilson, who could be a top 10 draft pick. That's going to be huge for this team. He was just outstanding. He was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Him and D. Winters on TCU, probably the 2 best players in the conference this year on the defensive side of the ball. But you got to look at this team and what they're bringing in. Key additions, Dre McCray, safety C.J. Bakersfield, center Rusty Stats. You want got Quincy Leggett Jr. and Dylan Spencer on the D-line. That's just huge. Texas Tech, they're building up on defense. Joey McGuire, that hire before last season, just outstanding. He's put life into this program that we really haven't seen since Mike Leach. God rest his soul, but we haven't seen it since Mike Leach at Texas Tech. Cliff Kingsbury was there, but that team was just like every other Big 12 team. There wasn't really anything different. They were just out there putting 40 points on the board, but they're allowing 40 to 50 every game, right? That's what you expected out of the Big 12. But Joey McGuire's put some life into this program and into this fan base that I haven't seen in a while. And he understands that defense can still win big games. We saw TCU play Texas this year. Everyone expected a shootout. No, TCU shut down Texas. Texas was suffocated. They couldn't do anything all game. Heck, defense can win Big 12 games. Same thing with Baylor in 2021. So I think Joey McGuire sees the blueprint there. And on the offensive side of the ball, Tyler Shuck's coming back. Now, Tyler Shuck, he's played a lot of football. But when I was making this list and I put Texas Tech down after looking at their roster, what's coming back, how their schedule is, Tyler Shuck and the fact that they play Oregon this year, not because he's played there before, but those 2 things are going to determine whether or not they can pull off a TCU and win the Big 12 with an opportunity to go to the playoff. Tyler Shuck, like I said, he played a lot of football. He's played a lot of ball. But when you line it up in a really big game, is he going to be able to outplay another good quarterback and get you over the hump and win those big games? Because this year they went 8-5. I know he missed some time, but that's just how football is, right? Next guy up. But Tyler Shucks, he's going to be the man this year. They went out and got him a really good receiver in Dre McCray, one of the top receivers in the transfer portal. A lot of offensive linemen coming back. Offense would be good. But like I said, Tyler Shuck, it's going to come down to whether or not he can beat another good quarterback. We'll find out. Second thing I mentioned, they play Oregon this year. Oregon is coming to Texas Tech. They're coming to Lubbock. Huge opportunity for Texas Tech. If they win this game with how the Big 12 is, if everything goes right, if Joey McGuire has this program hitting on all cylinders, if they win this game, they're going to have the best win early in the season in college football. They're not going to be favored. They're going to be an underdog. I imagine, at least. You just never know. They are home. Who knows what can happen before then. But if they pull it off and they beat Oregon, and they're 2-0 after that, 3-0 heading into conference play, go through conference play with one loss, get to the Big 12 championship, opportunity to win that, go to the playoff. That sounds pretty good to me if I'm a Texas Tech fan. Many things have to happen, but those two things that I just mentioned, I think you have to beat Oregon. That has to be a win because I don't think they're going to go undefeated in the Big 12. Heck, no one thought TCU would, but look what happened. That's why when I was thinking about making this video and writing these teams down, I was thinking, man, this might sound a little crazy that I'm saying these teams could make the playoff or have an opportunity to. But what if a year ago I sat here and said TCU is going to go to the national championship? Everyone would be calling me crazy. Everyone would say you don't know what you're talking about. So it's just speculation. It's just what things can line up, what teams have what it takes, or what newness is there in a program that points forward to say, heck, if everything goes right, we can achieve anything we want. That's why I put Texas Tech on the list. I think Joey McGuire has this program going in the right direction. I think a lot of things are favoring them. And you got to remember, they ended their season just like Oregon State did. They beat an SEC team. They beat Ole Miss 42-35. So, high note, motivation matters heading into the season. All these three teams have it. The Badgers, Wisconsin, 7-6, no momentum there. After that, though, Luke Fickell, all the staff, the players they're getting, Braylon Allen's coming back. You're going to have a quarterback, a really good quarterback. Momentum. Momentum matters heading in. Be really interested to see how these three teams play in their spring game, see what kind of offenses they're running. I expect many of them to be the same, other than the Badgers, obviously. Luke Fickell is definitely going to change that. So we'll see how these three teams turn out. I'm definitely going to keep this bookmarked, and we'll see what happens about 9-10 months from now. But I appreciate you guys for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like. Also, go in the comments, leave some video ideas. What would you guys like to see? Maybe leave your favorite team. I'll make a video about them. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, alright?